I was not working behind the cash register actually, only for 2 or 3 or 5 weeks, something like that, as a teaching. And just before COVID, I decided enough is enough. I want to follow my passion, and the COVID came. But COVID brought me a big gift, the online ability. So since then, I'm mentoring startups and entrepreneurs and leaders in the corporations, not only in person, but also online. And just yesterday, I was mentoring how many, like 30 or 50 Indian entrepreneurs. And I have actually served maybe some 600 entrepreneurs, startups especially, around the globe. And I do some lectures as well, as you see me today. And what I would like to talk to you and invite you to join me the game is actually something about influencing a negotiation. Now, by coming here, can we have a contract that you committed to have fun and to cooperate with me?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So, may I invite you to... No, later. Okay. But you know, you stand behind your words, that's excellent. Now, can somebody tell me what is the difference between influencing and persuasion and negotiation actually?
And manipulation.
And manipulation, okay, nice. Anybody? No answer is stupid.
You don't need to do anything to influence someone, you just do you, and you don't need to persuade someone. It just happens, no?
Thank you. Anybody?
I think one of the main differences is that in negotiation you're trying to convince other people to take your side or like accept your opinion, etc. But in influencing, you're just putting out a message towards the masses, and whoever wants to accept your opinion or whoever wants to follow you does that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And so I would have a problem with the negotiation definition that Adam gave, because for me negotiation is just trying to meet halfway, or like the constant looking for the middle ground, while actually persuasion would be like speaking your mind and using such arguments so that other people just, that you persuade others. So changing their way of thinking with your arguments.
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for that. Now, I would like to offer a slightly different perspective. And then I invite you, since you are here in this workshop, to Google out a few more things about it. But in my mind, and in mind of many others, and in some other books and professionals and so on, influencing is a little bit more like I'm influencing by being me, by my leadership, by what I do. And persuasion is actually I'm trying to persuade you about something. And very often we do it through presentation, pitching. Very often we do it through one-to-one meeting or small meetings where we are with people in the room, but by other things as well. And we probably want to persuade people to do something or consider something. For me, this ends where people say, hey, this sounds interesting, now we are speaking, let's talk about price, and when we start. And this is for me the point when really the negotiation starts. I mean, the border is really blurred, you know, and probably you find people defining it slightly differently. But negotiation is actually when the conflict arises, okay? So when we have a conflict, we negotiate the conflict. And it's slightly different situation. Now the conflict doesn't mean that we hate each other, right? The conflict means I want the product or your service to buy as cheap as possible, maybe as soon as possible, and you want maybe the opposite, you want to sell it as expensive as possible, for instance. Yeah? So we have some kind of conflict where we need to come to some agreement. And somebody said, it was maybe you, Anastasia, yeah, that, or maybe somebody else, I don't know. Somebody said, we need to meet in the middle. Not you. Oh, very good. You said that. I totally disagree, and I will show you why in a minute.
Because you can have like a win-win situation, a win-lose situation in negotiations.
Yeah, these are all the different terms. I will propose to you a way of thinking, and then it doesn't matter what label you put on that. But I want to clarify something. But let's start now. First of all, are you interested more in influencing and persuasion, or are you interested more in negotiation? Or should I split the time?
Split the time.
Okay,
What's that a negotiation now?
Maybe we can have show of hands.
So should I start with influencing, short one, and then more time for negotiation, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
This sounds better. Okay, so this is my cheat sheet really, because I didn't know whether we have. What I want to propose to you is both in negotiation and in influencing and persuasion, preparation is the thing, right? So what we are doing right now is part of the preparation. You can split the preparation in something like improving your skills longer term. This will pay back significantly in the results. But you need to prepare before the meeting. Now, two typical situations. I have a presentation for investors, or I have a meeting with a customer, or I have a presentation for my team, for instance. What are you going to do? You know you need to prepare a presentation. What percentage of time do you spend thinking, and what percentage of time do you spend preparing really cool and nice presentation? PowerPoint. Behind the computer. Now, tell me. Somebody brave. 80% in presentation?
80% thinking.
Very well. A lot in presentation. Ever in your life did you do? I did. You are really good guys. Because I see a lot of people actually spending, like saying, yes, I know it all. I'm preparing for this my whole life, my whole company life. So I know what to say. What I'm actually trying to offer to you is actually to spend a lot of time defining what is the goal of your meeting. And the goal is not to see what they think, but what is the outcome I want from there? And it's totally different. Do you ask before you start preparing presentation, if you start thinking about what you want to achieve, what do you want to convince those people about, it helps significantly. Have it in mind as a first thing. Very often people go with kind of blurred and vague aim in their head, you know, and then they are surprised that they did not achieve what they didn't want, what it is actually. So this is very important. The second one is understanding the audience. All my life I was working in the customer-facing positions as a chief marketing officer here and there and whatever. People who you want to influence or even negotiate with, they are your audience. What do you know about them? Now, we have a lot of people from Belarus who are in new country. What do you know about Polish customers? I was going and walking through Warsaw today, and I realized that even though I worked with Polish people a lot, I don't understand them enough. So, what do you do actually? And somebody on Tuesday during the conference said, things are happening differently here. It's not like in Belarus. We need to understand that. Now, one of the negotiation principles of Mossad is use the third party. Now, this is great opportunity because you are meeting people who are here longer than some of you. Ask those people. And ask them to introduce you or to tell you what they know about your potential partner who you want to influence or negotiate with. This is so important, but we are very often so much into operations and we want to, rush from potential customer to potential customer or whatever, and we forget to prepare well. But this is so important. Now, we all know all the theory, right? So I need to understand who is the customer. Who is your customer? Please tell me. Somebody start screaming at me. Who is your customer? How do you define them?
University student.
Huh?
University student.
University students. Okay.
24 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. Google.
Google is your customer. Well, thank you so much for that, because Google is not your customer. Google is not your customer. People, human, having specific problems and specific roles and specific decision-making power within Google are your customers, human to human. So try to picture actually what those people are thinking about, right? So this is important. And then I'm skipping a lot of steps, yeah? But then so important thing is, when you are in the meeting, keep the attention of people. I'm not very successful in it, obviously, right now.
No, I think the guy on the notes had an ADHD, I think.
Okay.
It's very loud.
Okay. So what you want to do is actually to create a story. Yeah? Create a nice story which can keep the attention. And please stop thinking about arguments. You cannot win anything by argument. Neither negotiation nor influence. Think about, we are human beings who are actually interested in stories, who are emotional, who listen to emotions. And yes, you need to have some good data and some good arguments, but don't forget, especially tech companies, people who are a little bit more introverted, don't forget those emotional parts of it. And think about the storyline. Think about the cinema, You want to create a little cinema in their head. So at the end of the day, they say, oh my God, yes, I want to be part of this story. How can we do it? When? And how much will it cost? When can we start? Yeah? So think about those things. And now you can Google out how to make a storyline and yeah? Try this. And I need you. Now I need you. And then make sure actually you keep their attention in very good. During the meeting. So tell us in 1 minute, in a very engaging and attention-catching way, what are you going to do during the weekend? And you are inviting people to join you. Or select your topic, to be very honest, yeah?
No, I think I'll go with your topic for sure. Something here, okay. So, hi everyone. In case you don't know me, my name's Arnav Manhan. And yes, from the accent, I'm not from Warsaw. I'm actually from India. Anyways, during the weekend, I'm going to be attending a few classes and I'm going to be listening to a few people just, talk a lot about their car collection and how they have interest in cars. Just the random people just showing off about cars. I know a person who loves this one Aston Martin DB5. She's always talking about it. And then there's this another colleague of mine who started her own club, her own luxury brands club, and they're always talking about it. I have a friend who's usually just going out and just hitting on girls wherever he goes. They always invite me for all these things, but I don't know if I'm really going to go there. Except for that, I think there's actually another. So here's the thing: there's a guy who I've met in the gym. He's not dedicated or anything. The thing is, I'm trying to get him into more working out, because he's oh, you know what? I want a body like Cristiano Ronaldo or something like that. So I'm okay, you know what? We'll start slow. But the guy never comes. The guy never comes to the gym. It's so annoying. And
Okay.
I don't even know his name.
Okay, stop. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hey. Make a box. This is scary.
You should be an
Okay.
actor.
That was scary.
You should be.
Guys, very good job, yeah?
Yes,
Very
you
good
should
job.
be an actor.
And
Yeah.
Arnau.
Yeah.
Arnau.
Yeah.
Arnau is very brave. Thank you so much. Now, let's analyze a little bit what
Yeah.
you have done now.
Yeah.
And really it was difficult because he didn't know a second before what he is requested to talk about. Normally he would know what to talk about, yeah? Pause. What is so important? So when you are, for instance, speaking in front of the audience, it's very important that you don't speak from here, because here you are not important. You should be the major focus of the audience. So stand into your power position, which is here, right? So that you can hug everybody. That's the power position. And even ladies, if you have a nice skirt and high heels, yeah? Maybe think about it next time whether you need high heels, yeah? But this is the right thing to do. Men, they do it normally. You need to ground yourself, right? Because it's your stability. So you need to be stable and you need to be firm. Now I can speak, right? Second thing is hands. What about my hands? You are obviously extroverted person. We knew it from the very beginning, obviously. But not everybody is the same. We have at least half of the people who are a little bit more introverted. And those people don't feel so comfortable. So they would not have the stable position and they would try to cover their body. And because they saw some video that they should be doing something with hands, maybe they will do the chicken hands, you know? The chicken wings. If you are an introverted person, extroverted people, guys, you know it all, just don't overdo it, right? But introverted people, it's perfectly okay if you just have your little square so that you are a little bit, at the beginning, before you go there, just make yourself a little bit relaxed and try at home, when you are speaking, to do the maximum gestures. So when you are in front of people, you can do the small but natural gestures. Or you can take your, whatever it is, you can take something to your hands, you know all this. Very important thing is the voice. Perfect. Be aware that depending on where we are coming from, we may have totally different natural pitch of the voice. Some of the Asian countries, maybe Vietnam, maybe China, they tend to have higher pitch and they tend to speak a little bit higher up. Yeah? Especially in English, it's actually not seen professional and the people don't know why. It's because English has a little bit lower pitch, right? And that is something what is called leadership voice, which sits here. Now you can try it to your natural voice, a little bit lower, yeah? Leadership voice. Now don't go to the guru voice, right? Because then people may start meditating and you don't want that. But don't go to your anxious voice. I mean, I am so excited, guys. Now you hate me, right? Because it's so, it's not very nice. So this was few trips. And the most important thing, actually, is tempo. Especially extroverted people are yeah? And I will give you a trick which actually delivers better understanding, gives you more time to think, and you will leave your audience with better understanding what you need them to hear, what you need them to hear. And it's about using the stop, the dot, tečka. Tačka? Točka. So think about it. We in Czech, we have a famous, he's not living anymore, but a famous writer who used to write in a way that he started the sentence at the beginning of the book and finished at the end of the book. Now, think about, do I speak like that? Am I Mr. Bohumil Hrabal or not? And we tend to be that because we have this important message, right? Thank you. I don't want to keep you here. Sorry for that. But this was probably the only thing which I would recommend to you specifically to think about and to watch.
Shake less.
Don't be Bohumil Hrabal, yeah? Think about short sentences, okay? So I will tell you this whole story 2 times. If you are speaking too fast and not making any pauses and not making any stops, then nobody can actually understand what is important, and it's so difficult, and then they don't know what you are saying, but it will be so much better if you can actually make a stop, because there will be that little pause, 2 to 3 seconds, and they can actually understand what you are saying, and you can think about what you are saying next. What do you remember? Nothing. Think about this. If I
don't remember anything I said.
Yeah. And partly it was due to you didn't have time for preparation, and that's totally okay. But if you think about short sentences, as short as possible, my speech could look like this. Try to make very short sentences. Make a pause. When you do a dot, the pause appears naturally. We as human beings need 1 to 3 seconds to actually understand what was said. And now it gives me as a speaker the time to think about the next thing which I want to say. Was this much more appealing? Was this much more understandable? Was this something you can now remember? Look at yourself and analyze whether you can improve your influencing ability as you are speaking. And it doesn't matter if it is like here now, or if it is with 1 or 2 or 3 people when you are discussing something. You can have much higher impact, I promise. And the tempo is naturally much slower, right? So, let's go to the negotiation things. If you want really to become a negotiator, read some books, go to some professional trainings and train it. I cannot teach you that now, and I'm not the professional negotiating trainer. But I went through a lot, and I can tell you few tips and tricks which also you can use from tomorrow. First one is prepare, prepare, prepare. How long do you want to prepare for negotiation? What time do you want to spend?
Depends on the topic.
Depends is a good answer, yeah?
What time do you have?
It's also a good answer. Now, you really need to spend as much time as possible to prepare, because you want to understand your audience. What do you know about them? But one thing which I wanted to bring your attention to is your requirements. We so often, when we are coming to the negotiation, we are trying to role play in our mind or with our colleagues. What will they say? What will they require? What do they actually need? All those things are cool, but you never know what they really want. So what I'm offering to you to consider is to, and it's not from my head, right? I'm a bright girl, but it's from some brighter minds and more experience in negotiation. Make a list of, say, 25 or 30 requirements. Now say, 25 or 30? Are you crazy? But this is it. Because you never know where the discussion will evolve. And the only thing you can understand is actually what you really, 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 really want. Mark it red. And then what would be really nice to have? Mark it orange. And then what you can live without, but hey, let's say, what if I want that they call me Sahib or something, I don't know, you know? So think about things which do not even matter to you, but might mean something to the other side. So this is very important part of preparation, because once you come to the negotiation, you will see what you can actually trade in and trade off with the other party. Now, one thing which I want to show you is, and I hope I will not destroy it, but it's back to the dirty word compromise. We don't want compromise, right? It's a dirty word. You don't want to be there. Who knows this negotiation matrix? Somebody? Okay. Somebody knows it?
Is it like win, lose?
Let's think about negotiation as about actually trying to solve the conflict, right? In this direction, you are increasing the strength, the stress, and power. In this, you are increasing relationship with that person. Now, typically, we are actually not the hostile negotiators, right? So where you don't need long-term relationship with a kidnapper, but we are very often speaking to somebody who we want to have as a partner. Yeah, and we used to have as a partner. So we are actually concerned a lot about relationship, very often. But we still have that conflict. So we need to be strong, right? So what are these quadrants? This is the quadrants of avoidance. The result of low power and low relationship. I don't know you, you don't know me, you know, you don't need me, I don't need you. Let's try to negotiate, but if it doesn't work, okay, bye-bye, it was nice to meet you. I'm not hurt, you are not hurt. So basically this is this quadrant, yeah? And then we have very, very, very dangerous quadrant. Have a look at it. I have a partner. I have a good relationship with them. I need them a lot. So I will step back and step back. And if I cannot, then I will sit down to be even further. This is actually the pushover area. Yeah? So when we are preferring the relationship over solving the conflict, so escalating the conflict, we end up in this area. We don't know this, guys. The last rule of Mossad is, I'm probably now labeling it differently, but don't be a pushover, because this happens, you know, when you allow the other side to have a lot of power over you and you do the step back, they will try bigger push next time, and bigger push next time, and bigger push next time, and before you know it, you are in some situation you don't really like. And at the end of the day, the relationship hurts, actually. It's not a good relationship. They will not respect you. So you actually want to have a very high respect. And I have high respect to somebody who is a good negotiator, but who is fair, for instance, yeah? So these are the things to think about. And I promise you, there is a lot of people, probably 1/3 of people, who will value relationship more, who don't want to go to the conflict. If you cannot go to the conflict, don't negotiate. That's as easy as this. Don't negotiate. If you really hate conflict, don't negotiate. You need, in the negotiation, to have somebody from your team, maybe your coworker, co-founder, somebody who is not afraid to go to the conflict, who is maybe the introverted, little bit more person, you know, who says like, I want the result, and I don't care about that relationship so much that I would be like crying inside, you know. This is the area where actually one side is very strong, and maybe this is the situation when you cannot do anything else but accept because you have no other option, but long term, this is not a good place to be. The sweet spot is here, and this is called cooperation. This is the sweet spot where you actually have high conflict, but high relationship with the other person, with the other company. And for that to happen, you need to be open-minded and understand very well yourself. But also you need to listen very carefully to the other side, because we never know what can be important for the other side. So you can actually help them solve the problem even better than what they were expecting, and get even more that you were expecting. And at the end, everybody says, hey, it was so good, we actually have much better solution now. You want to come here, but this is about listening, having open ears and open mind, and listening, and asking questions, and listening, and then you can be there. Now, can somebody suggest where we have compromise in this chart?
Anya, I've got one more question. Before compromising, what do you call conflict? What is the meaning of conflict in this verse?
Yeah, conflict is that we disagree on something. Because if we agree, we don't need to negotiate, right?
No, and I'm negotiating with someone and they don't agree with the concept proposed, and I suggest my own concept, so there might be a conflict.
Well, conflict is you will not negotiate if you don't have conflict. You will need to negotiate the holidays with your husband. For instance, he wants to go to the mountains, you want to go to the seaside. What do? You have that conflict. You start negotiating. Okay. Yeah. Anybody understands what is where? Where do I draw compromise? Anybody? Where? Here? Better? Try once more. Better?
I guess it's right lower corner, no?
Yeah. It's actually somewhere here, typically. So it's probably better than some other, but it's not as good as cooperation. Because in compromise, in FBI negotiations, they say, well, the compromise is, they don't want to send your daughter, and you don't want the pay, so you agree that they will send half of the daughter and you send them some money. This is not what you want, really. So compromise is not good. You want to be always in this area. Does it make sense to you guys? Does it help? Do you have now a little bit slightly altered view of future negotiations? Yeah, excellent, excellent. Exclude some people from negotiation, guys. Don't let them in. Whom? Who should not be in the negotiation? We said the person who doesn't like conflict, who hates conflict, who avoids conflict, should not be sitting there, or should have a specific role. Maybe that person could be there as an analyst who can, during the break, who can say blah, 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 I've searched something, blah, but should not be negotiating. Who else should not be negotiating? And be in the meeting even. Yes?
Someone who's like very emotional, like who thinks emotionally but not logically.
Yeah, stupid people should not be there as well. No, I'm joking. I'm joking now, but normally, intelligent people can control themselves and can learn it, obviously. So this is what I meant, really.
There might be times in negotiation when someone might play dirty and they might get under your skin. So
yes, you are right. You are right. If it is somebody who cannot control themselves, don't take them. It doesn't mean that they are stupid, but you should not take them. You're right.
There's one perfect example. If you watch Suits, there's a character named Louis Litt. He's the perfect example of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would be surprised, but if you are an owner of the company, you should not be in the negotiation. You should stay at home.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And I will tell you why. Because a good negotiator will misuse your presence, will target you, and will force you to say something where the outcome is not so good afterwards. Because you are in a position of the boss, you have your people there, you need to save your face or whatever. So, if you have good negotiators, stay away, because you give them the opportunity to say, hey, now it's beyond my kind of competence for decision, I need to consult my boss. If you are there, they don't have that opportunity to say, right? And second one, who should not be there. If you have, sorry, yes.
So we are talking about our side of the negotiation. Negotiation involves two people. And what is about the other side, about its strengths, about its desire of strength of relationship?
First of all, in negotiation, if you are really in the business which is heavily dependent on negotiation, you should have a team. At least two people is always recommendable. And I know even corporations don't do that, but it's a really good habit. It's proven they have better results. Yeah? And actually we are talking about both sides, because if you and your counterpart is sitting here, you both know better now. So you will be on the same level of negotiation afterwards. But what I wanted to say is it's important to not take people who have extremely high relationship with the other side, because you don't want to lose that. So if you have somebody like sales director in your organization who knows everybody else and is in the business for such a long time and customers love him, you know, and so on, don't destroy that. Because they might be using that person to get to you, and that person will be in extremely uncomfortable situation. So, and it will harm the long-term relationship. So those are two type of people you don't want actually to take to the negotiation. Helpful or not?
Yes, but about the founder on the negotiation, when you have when you need to find a really important solution, of course you want to negotiate with the decision maker. You don't need like any person who can be responsible for the company. But I am, as a partner, I want to talk with someone who is really can make decision in this company.
If you can force them to come to the meeting, good for you. But I would still choose, if you can, because maybe you are a two-person company, yeah. But then we don't have a chance. But if we have a little bit bigger structure and we can choose, it's better that you stay away and you join later, because there is that escalation possibility. Yeah. Maybe you can speak afterwards about it if you disagree, which I see you do. Now, should we have a small talk? Yes, somebody said. Who?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Why? Why?
Because it eases you. It
Eases you, yes. Yeah. Icebreaker. Anybody? Anything else?
Because you can know your other humans.
Yes. These are all cute things, guys, right? But there is one rational thing why you want to do that. Because you want to understand the baseline.
It's also like, you know, you understand how they are when they speak about normal stuff.
Yes.
But then when you go into the negotiation, you see if they are stressed, if they are angry, and if you talk about the weather, they will speak in their normal.
Exactly. So it's establishing the baseline. So take your time, build the relationship, ask about, you know, so did your daughter, whatever you told me last time, whatever, something, or weather or something. You establish the baseline, and you will figure out when they are lying to you or when they become nervous. It's not that you will actually realize, and you would need to be really well trained. But what actually happens, and interrogators do that a lot, is that when they see the deviation from the baseline, they say, this is the point. This is the place, this is the time, this is the topic. Let's investigate a little bit more. And it does not need to be that they are lying, but actually there might be some really valuable information which can help you to arrive here. So you want to understand their baseline. And then one thing which we often do when we don't realize that we are actually negotiating. Let's get rid of all those small, unimportant things first, and let's then talk about the big things. Vice versa. Take the big, smelly fish and put it on the table. If you have 10 things to discuss, and one of those is the budget was cut, and I cannot purchase your products, for instance, anymore, unless we do some. Start with that. Start with that. We tend to avoid it. So, I don't want to talk about it. Let's do that. First thing.
Why?
Because everybody is anyhow thinking about it, right? Everybody, people are not paying attention. And then you also can use all your arsenal or all your power for the most important thing to negotiate. You also save a lot of time, because if you cannot cooperate because of some obvious reason, why are you actually bothering about small things, you know? So it's respectful to everybody who is in the room. It's very efficient, and you can focus, you know. Anyhow, you and the other person, you know what is the smelly fish, and it's just waste of time not to go directly to the point. And we talked about listening, right? Listening is so important. One important thing is not to get caught by our own triggers. Leave the ego behind the doors and just try to listen. And there is so many listening techniques which you can use. And asking and so on, and just kind of not reacting to things which do not help you to reach the agreement which you want to. Focus on things which make the most sense, and ask the people and let them speak. Again, pauses can help you a lot. We as human beings, we hate when the silence is too long, right? So the silence, if it is like 1 to 2 seconds, it's very powerful. It emphasizes what you said and maybe what will follow. If it's like 5 seconds, try it sometimes. If it's like 5 seconds, and if you are in front of the room and people are whatever speaking, and you are silent for 5-7 seconds, you know, you will get attention back very often, not every time, very often. And if the silence is over 10 seconds, like 12, 15 seconds, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Now try it, you know. Try the silence now for 10 seconds, which, by the way, if you are leading, for instance, a Zoom call and you ask people some question, or in front of the auditorium like that, you probably need something like 7 to 10 seconds before the first brave person starts to answer. May differ culture from culture, yeah? And now, how long is 10 seconds? 1 Mississippi. Who is frustrated already? Starting, right? Now what happens is, if you keep silent, you ask them a question, you keep silent, at a certain point they will start adding information. Because silence is so uncomfortable, right? So instead of asking further, showing how brilliant I am, that I know that excellent question, just be silent. It's difficult actually, but try it. And you will see that people will tell you actually more than what they wanted. So you can get to very vital information so that you can end up here. And I don't know how we are with the time actually. Anybody is watching? We don't have any more time. So that was everything from me. I hope that it was at least partially relevant for you and that you took some things from that, but I will not let you go yet. It would be too easy for you guys. And nobody promised this will be easy. So I want you to start shouting at me what are the things, maximum 3, which you are taking away with you and you are starting doing from tomorrow or trying to do from tomorrow.
listen and ask questions.
Okay.
To think more about goals.
Goals.
Know your partner.
Know your partner.
Make it
Deep
dots.
voice.
Make a dot with pauses.
Dots, pauses. Okay.
Conflicts while negotiation.
Be quiet.
Be quiet. Yes. Especially difficult. You know, introverts are so good at that, right?
Be quiet more. Stay in front of the audience.
Stay in front of the audience, yeah. It's actually difficult, guys, because it needs from us to be aware of our own value. Yeah. And there might be difficult situations in life when you may be really undercut with your self-confidence. But all of us, we have huge internal value. Be aware of that. Ask other people, what biggest value am I bringing? If you are not aware, if you don't know really, if you are deep down, you know, in the shit which life sometimes brings. Anybody else shouting at me?
Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself.
Prepare, yes.
And
3
gestures.
times.
And the gestures.
Gestures? Yes. Chicken wings, yes.
Create a story.
Create the story, yes, this is so important.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And that corner over there, anybody?
Do not fear conflict.
Conflict. Anybody thinks about, I will not let my partner join the negotiation anymore?
I don't need to be participating in some of the negotiations.
You don't need to be, yes.
I don't need to be that.
You don't need to. And you know, guys, if you are preparing really well, you can be part of the preparation of those 15 or 30 requirements and discussion how important it is for you. And this is your involvement, and you empower your people by that. Okay, thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much.